Good morning and welcome to Small Business Chat. Good morning. We have Karen in the house and we also have Emily and Alan here from Yellow Tuxedo. We're delighted to have you here. Welcome.
Sorry, I just can't help do explosions. I feel we in some business world, we just need more explosions. Like it's just, I don't know why.
I noticed this on your podcast trailer. The three explode. Yeah, I can see you're really enjoying this, Alan. But we're delighted.
Send help now.
We're delighted to have you here because we are actually going to be talking about getting visible, driving traffic, and building your brand online. And who better than I've seen for the past year? We've met a year ago, I think it is. And I noticed these guys on Instagram, and I just thought they were absolutely brilliant. Love their down-to-earth approach, but more hands-on than most marketing directors that haven't actually done the work themselves. They've literally had several businesses. I'm going to let you do the introduction, but let's hear a little bit of background about you as business owners and how you started Yellow Tuxedo and ultimately the Digital Circus membership.
Do you want me to start?
You do it. Go on.
I can do this because Alan will go on for a 15-minute
I will go. That'll be 30 minutes gone and I won't even have answered the question. So
yeah, we are Yellow Tuxedo and we have been running this business for just 2 years now, 2 years. And we are digital visibility specialists, basically showing small businesses and small and medium businesses how to show up online. And it's the how we're going to focus on today, not the why you should. We all know why we should, but it's that practical how. We have been working together as a husband and wife team for the best part of a decade. We're still here, we're still alive.
It's good, it's fun.
We actually both had very boring corporate jobs before we started working together. Many happy accidents happening, in terms of getting made redundant, that kind of stuff. And we decided to start working together on a very, very, very different business to what we're doing now, called Bailey Bell Tents. Which look at that.
That happened. That was one of our bell tent.
Oh wow!
Yeah. We started working in the events field, and we started putting up glamping,
literally in the events field,
and glamping tents for weddings, corporate events, that kind of stuff. It was very, very back to base in terms of banging pegs into the ground and being outside in the countryside, having a jolly good old time. Very different to what we were doing in our corporate lives before that. And when we started marketing that, we realized very early on that actually what we found ourselves in, we don't want to be going to wedding fairs. We don't want to be sitting out giving out leaflets. We don't want to be a slave to that. We need to do 5,000 posts to Facebook every single day. That just didn't really sit with us. And we didn't see how that was really going to benefit us on a long-term basis. So we decided to, we actually kind of fell back into our old skill sets of how we marketed. We decided to actually move into that online space and just own it. And we owned it.
It's really, yeah, unfortunately, Emily's right. So it was kind of a few things happened at the same time. So we decided we didn't want to go to a wedding fair in the rain and speak to one person and hope we were going to make £1 million. And at the same point, it was, we were discussing franchising the business, okay, and because this was before glamping really ramped up, and so we went, well, hold on, if we're going to franchise the business, we need to be nationwide beforehand.
Yeah.
So we moved, because of those two things, we moved our entire marketing online, basically, as Emily said. And that's what we did. And we never stopped. And those things we were trying to run away from, our corporate world, we came back in a vengeance. And at the weekend where they're banging pegs in, and the rest of the week we're doing SEO, keywords, content, video marketing, blog writing, and all of that stuff, which led to some fantastic opportunities. And because we built that online presence, so those opportunities came to us. Yeah. It's a fantastic knock-on from going down the digital route is opportunities increase and come to you.
We then took that from everything we learned with Bailey Bell Tents and we created a brand new wedding blog called The Outside Bride, which is in 2021 we are trying to kill. We are desperately trying. We can't kill it. We cannot kill it. We haven't actually utilized that blog for nearly 18 months now, but it's still. We
get emails probably 10 a week.
But we applied we applied the exact same model of that to the new business, and we grew that. It was more of an international brand within a space of 18 months. Very, very rapid, very, very quick. But again, the approach of showing up, thinking about optimization with what we were creating, making sure there was purpose to what we were creating, and having conversations. Oh, excuse me, sorry, funny noise in the house. Having human conversations with people outside in that online space. So then, fast forward, that's where we are now. We realized that we were talking to so many small businesses who just didn't get what we were understand.
It was a classic. We'd sit here in the evening going, why is no one else doing what we're doing? And we're sitting, why is XYZ not doing this? And then in conversations, you learn they didn't know how to do it. And you know, not in a funny way. So we thought, let's start showing people how to do it and achieving it for themselves.
And it really is that. So many small businesses, and we talked pre to the show, so many small businesses have got so many hats on. They are operations managers, accounting managers, they're doing this, and then they're marketing. And this world is such a scale. There's so much you have to be doing: social media, your website, advertising, all of that. It's like, where the hell do you start? And we decided that actually Yellow Tuxedo would be a space to help really cut through the crap, get rid of all the noise, and work
potty mouth.
I swear like a pirate, don't worry. Yes.
It really was to kind of cut through that and show people, well, this, if you want to do this and you want to grow that, I'm not going to tell you why you should be doing that, because you know your why. Let's show you how to get there. And that's where Yellow Tuxedo.
That was really important, isn't it? We didn't want to just motivate and inspire and go, you can do this. But if you're motivated, inspired by us helping you break down those barriers and improve your knowledge and education, then amazing, you know, because that's what we want to do. Because we were talking before this about that's that technical piece that is so often missing. And that's the bit we wanted. How was our driver? You know, we want to show people how to do it.
And I think as well, I mean, you say there's sort of people, small businesses wear so many different hats. Time is a massive factor. So by going down your route, like you say, and cutting through all the crap, you're streamlining it.
Yeah,
it's less time they're going to end up spending on it, isn't it?
And that Karen, that's a really key part. And it has to fit into your workflow, because one of the things we come up against is this possibly 5 to 10 year old notion of you need to put different content on each platform, which is, you know, is probably 5-10 years old, if not older than that. You know, it's like, well, no, you can't put that on LinkedIn, but you could put that on Instagram. No, you can put the same content on every platform. You just position it fractionally differently for the audience on that platform. But, you know, and I got asked this, I reckon, sorry, there's a bin lorry outside. Can anyone hear it?
No,
it's very, it's so noisy here. That's what I'm making funny faces. I'm like, hopefully no one can hear this. And that's such a key thing, you know, and when it comes to simplifying what you do and managing your workflow and your rhythms and routines and all these other things you try and do, time blocking, whatever works for you, simplifying that process is such an important part. I think
if you can approach it like that and understand that what you're doing is for a good reason, and that by doing this you'll get this return, because it cannot fail if you're trying to do it in an optimized way, you are more encouraged to do it more frequently. Your workflow becomes easier because you see the benefit from doing that. If you're trying, sorry.
No, I was going to add in. When
you're trying to do this hack here and that hack here and growing your Instagram followers by this, you're never going to win, and you're never going to want to do it consistently because it's so draining. I think it's a reframing what you need to be doing on a regular basis and understand the benefit of those actions.
Yeah, well, it's
providing a system which I find really helpful, because exactly what we've been trying to do with the show, creating it first just to get it out there and be visible was the first barrier, which I notice is something that you're encouraging, sort of like the membership, like first just to do it, get comfortable with yourself, get out there, which was, you know, really good to see. But then also I'm a big believer of the macro content that you talk about, like what's the great value content that you're going to do. And you know, Karen does it in 10 minutes. We do it on this show. We try and do it in the show in 45, okay. But that's our macro content for the week, and that is exhausting in itself. You know, I've got loads of other blog ideas. It's like, and I can't do both right now whilst I'm juggling clients or I'm just juggling accounts or God knows what. But what I loved about the process is that you know that you're taking that macro content, but then also you're showing us how to break it down. And what you were saying about the how, which I thought was really interesting, is that everyone knows, like you say, why they need to be doing it. And I think that a lot of people will outsource because they're like, right, I need to do it, I just need to get someone to do it. And Karen and I are big believers. As a business owner, I think you should know how this works, because if you're going to outsource, you need to have some sort of responsibility but like, you know, to understand why it's working, why things are changing, even if it's at top level. But this is why I think it's really, a lot of our clients are cash strapped, so we have like a sliding scale of services services as you do. You can help them either on the like one-to-ones, or we've done like a one-to-one, or you've got the digital membership, the Circus membership. But the how to do it and providing each of them with a checklist, I can honestly say I'm now sitting there going, right, if I put this, I'm trying to get into a framework of, if I do one show, what is in that content of the show notes that is being shared out, that then goes into my newsletter, which then goes into YouTube, and what are the steps that I need to do, so that there's a process that I'm doing it, and almost like a checklist, just to optimize it to make sure it's got more value.
It becomes muscle memory. It does become muscle memory, because once you've got into that flow of understanding why you're doing it for that reason, like we used to do for the Outside Bride, we used to do a weekly half-hour, well, it tended to be 45, but like this one right now, half-hour ask an expert session. It was all about outdoor weddings, planning an outdoor wedding. A lot of these people are doing these as DIY weddings and needed a little bit, and it was a Q&A, live Q&A, and we did that every Wednesday at 8 p.m. with a gin and tonic in hand, and did a half an hour Q&A. By 9:15 that same evening, we would have had that video downloaded from Facebook, that would have been up to YouTube, it would have been optimized on YouTube, blog post would have been created, and that would have been embedded, ready for the newsletter to go out as well. And yes, that sounds like a lot of work, but actually in 45 minutes a lot of content was out there optimized. And the thing with optimization, which people need to kind of get into their heads, is optimization and with your content is actually saving you so much time in the long run.
It's painful how much time it saves, isn't it?
It's evergreen, it's out there, it's searchable. People will find that content when they are ready to find it, not when you're trying to push it in front of someone and hoping it's going to stick with them. And it's going to bring you traffic whilst you're sleeping or when you're on holiday. And God forbid we want to have a break at some point. This allows you to have that I always say, take your foot off the gas a little bit and allow your content to actually start working for you.
Here's a great example. Emily's that right. Sorry. First thing is, yes, if you are putting something on the internet, full stop, as a business, anything on the internet, if it's not optimized, it can't work for you. No. You know, if you're putting a picture on LinkedIn or a picture on Pinterest or whatever, video blog, whatever, if it's not optimized, it's doing nothing other than looking pretty. Fact. Okay. Yeah. The second part is we ran a one-day event on the 18th of May called the Digital Circus Live. We've eased up a little. Actually, last week, this week's probably the first week where we feel we've picked up again. This week's been mental, actually. We picked up again. But for that past month, it's okay, because we've got so much stuff just sat out there working for us. So it's okay to ease up for a week.
We didn't post on Instagram for 3 days in a row.
I know. I don't think I posted on LinkedIn personally for 10 days.
Do you know what? The world didn't stop.
No, exactly.
It didn't stop.
And I think that's the problem, is that I think, and I see this a lot when we're doing like content strategy with like clients, it's like, oh my God, I'm going to have to post every day. And it's like, no, actually, if you're engaging or you're attracting the right people and they like the content, I've done it where, you know, I've not been able to post for quite a while, and quite disgustingly from somebody with a marketing background. You're like, oh my God, I'm just going to focus on, I'm just trying to do one thing right now. And then I've gone and posted something, but I've still had the reaction, because they're engaged people that are following, that like what you do. And so you're always going to get that response.
Yes. And Christelle, and I've just thought of something like, so we're very big on like taking it to the real world and back again. When you post something on your platforms to your engaged audience, because you are leading from a personal brand and they want to be involved with you, it's like when you see a friend that you've not seen for 6 months and you go straight into conversation. There's none of this, oh, you've not spoken to me for 6 months. You go, oh, hello, you all right? Oh, yeah. And it just carries on. And that's what it should be like after a gap.
One of my biggest bugbears on social media, when I'm looking, I know we've optimized, we've gone on to social media, but my bit is when people put those apology posts. I haven't been very present on here. Stop apologizing for it, because you're
had live.
Still present. That's live. No one's going to go, oh, I'm really glad they've apologized for not being here. I really missed them this week, because they carry on with that. But when you are present and when you're back in the swing of it, they don't care that you've been away for a week.
They just want to be engaged in your adventure. That's all they want.
Yeah.
It's I think all we one of the want, things, not they.
You know, you said to me, I mean, with the show, one of my biggest things that I found, I mean, I was recording the shows, taking them into Filmora, chopping it down, exporting it, when actually you can just download the HD version from Facebook and straight up to YouTube. You know, it was like seconds. I was like, ta-da! You know, there's just little things like that. But I think I would need your help. I think me and Christella both said this, is that we've uploaded the stuff to YouTube, but then we haven't optimized YouTube or taken it further than that. So we're getting the engagement on Facebook and LinkedIn and stuff, but not on the YouTube. So it's just sitting there, like you say, looking pretty.
Looking pretty, yeah.
It's those little things though. Sorry, it's the little things like downloading from Facebook. If you don't know to do it, you do make your life more. And again, it's that's where we kind of slot and go, you could do this. And I'm like, oh wow, yeah, I could do that. That saves me 15 minutes of doing that other job. So yeah.
But it's a system for you, isn't it? Like after the show, straight away, she's giving me the link for YouTube. I'm putting in the newsletter. So I'm kind of like focusing on the newsletter for content right now, backwards, I know, but it's promoting to YouTube and Facebook like lives so that you're getting more eyes on it, because people don't have time to watch you live. And I think that's the other thing with video is that there's so many people jumping on video doing like hour-long shows or, you know, podcasts, and you're like, we don't all have time to sit around to listen to everything, which I love. You're going to be really selective of the ones that you do want to watch, and then like you say, whenever I see you, I'm like, oh, there we go.
That's it. And you have to remember that although our businesses are very important to us as the business owner, we are not the center of everyone else's universe. They have their own stuff to be doing, especially if you're working in a B2B space. We are all really time poor, and yes, we might want to, we're going live now at 10 o'clock, and we recognize that people might be watching this live, but they might watch it on replay, and it doesn't really matter who's watching at one point, but that content getting out there ready for them to see it when they're ready to see it. They might Krista, you're a prime one. You always watch our stuff on replay, and that's absolutely fine. Absolutely fine. I'm not going to.
Don't matter. It's being watched. That's the key. It's working for us.
But I think some people get that kind of notion of, I've done a live, no one watched. What was the point of that? That was rubbish. I'm like, okay, you've done that live. What are you doing when you get next? Make that live actually work for you. Take it over to YouTube. It's good quality content. And whether people say, well, yeah, that's got Facebook on it, and YouTube doesn't like Facebook content.
Who cares? You've
got to weigh up what's going to make your life easier versus what that algorithm is going to say in terms of fresh new content for every single platform. In an ideal world, absolutely create fresh content for YouTube and fresh content for Facebook and fresh content for LinkedIn. In practical life,
hands up, who's got the time to do that?
We can't always. So therefore, and we said it pre the show, Krista, it's about that consistency. If consistency means you do a Facebook live or what live right now, and you do that week in, weekend, and you can download that and get that working for you, the algorithm will go, oh, I don't really care, you know, because
and also there's people that are not on Facebook, you know, but they are on YouTube. So you've got to think of the different audiences like that. So so putting same content out there makes sense. But you guys were talking about before we got on the show your 5 pillars. Is that kind of, can you explain a little bit about that?
Yeah, so our as digital visibility specialists, and we are very clear that we call ourselves that, we're not digital marketing experts, because I think there's a very clear difference there in terms of working on campaigns and working on how you want to show up, but also having those foundation blocks in place to show up the way you want to when you are ready with whatever project you're working on, whatever direction your business is taking. And we work across 5 pillars, 5 themes, whatever we want to call them, because each and every single one of those is so important to getting a fully well-rounded digital visibility and online presence.
You're going to do them in order?
Yeah, I will. Okay, yeah. I always kind of mix it.
The order is quite important. But,
first and foremost, it's your brand, and you guys are big on brand. And we're not branding experts by any means, but we are very hot on making sure that you are getting your brand working for you when you're showing up. If you're showing up on 6 different platforms, that is consistent, that messaging is the same, that I feel warm and fuzzy when I know that I'm on YouTube and I'm with Yellow Tuxedo here, and getting that brand actually working.
It's that omni-channel. Karen, you just sort of alluded to that kind of omni-channel presence. That we all shop differently in different kind of platforms. Like I spend a lot of time on TikTok. I'm 42, you know, I shouldn't even be on TikTok technically. I love it, you know, I absolutely love it. And that's that kind of, well, hold on, why would I not take a snippet of that live and put it on TikTok, branded properly across all platforms?
Second one is website. We all have websites, and I can guarantee that there's like, yeah, I haven't updated my website, or yeah, it's not very good.
I don't get much traffic on my website,
or I don't really like what's on my website because it's not.
It doesn't really work.
Sits there. Yeah. And like, well, your website should be the hub where everything's happening. It should be, right? This is the only thing that we physically own that as ours, that we have every power to control, to convert, to have conversations, to do what we want to do. And so many people put that so far down the list, most of the time being because it's not being seen by Google, it's not being optimized properly, you're not thinking about how that customer experience works on your website. So we're really hot with our 5 themes on your website has to work for you, a bit like with social media. If it's not working, what's the point?
Yeah, just one of the things on the website. The reason they don't know, they're not looking at the analytics.
Oh,
They're basing on the fact that they're not getting an inquiry or someone's not buying anything. They don't know that there's actually been visitors going there, but there's something that's made them not buy it.
We do a lot of one-to-one days, and we kind of really go and deep dive into what they're currently doing, what they're working on, and then we sort of build them up from there. And it is always the first thing is we look at the analytics, because guaranteed nobody's even ever bothered to click on Google Analytics. Look, like your bank account, you never want to look at your statement, but you come. But there's so much on there, and then people kind of shoot from the hip and go, I need a new rebrand, I need a new website, I need to do this. I'm like, you look at it going, no, you don't. This page here isn't actually doing anything. Let's start there before we go and just throw everything out and do everything from the start.
Yeah, it's really important. Also, we're very big on tracking and understanding rather than monitoring for microscopic movements. You know, it's about understanding what's going on so you can adjust accordingly, rather than going, oh, it went down 0.01.2% last night, what's gone wrong. You know, that's not helpful to the majority of our businesses. But understanding that what's going on is much more important. What are we on?
Third.
I took you off track there, but
so your brand, your website, your blog.
And we are big on blogging. And again, in terms of that overarching macro content, it's such a clever, useful time exercise. There's so much noise.
There's so much noise here today.
In terms of why you blog, again, people go, I'm time poor, I don't want to blog. It's not working for me. No one's seeing my blogs, no one's reading my blogs. Your blog should be the vehicle to help drive that traffic to your website. And if you're optimizing your blog properly and you're thinking about your keywords and how people are going to find you and that intention of that post, it can work for you, but it's again knowing that piece in the first place to apply it to your blog. Your
website is your shop. Every single blog and optimized piece of content should be a virtual door to your shop. So if you do 1,000 blogs, you've got 1,000 new doors to your shop. That's how you should be thinking about this.
Again,
it has to be optimized. On work for you. Sorry. Go, Emily. We're on it this morning.
Our fourth pillar we call social presence, and we don't call it social media. Social media is very important.
I like that.
It depends on
so much bigger than social media.
It's so much bigger.
And it's fourth in the list. That's very important here. It's after the other three.
And that's a huge thing, being fourth on the list. Social media is so important to us. It really is. And we all probably focus more on our social media efforts than we do on everything else, because it's the most easy, tangible thing for us to understand, and likes and vanity and all that. We like that because it's, we all know Facebook, we all know Instagram, we all know a little bit of LinkedIn. We know that. But social presence should be how you're appearing across all of those platforms. It's about optimizing that content. It's about thinking about using things like YouTube and Pinterest, which are social search engines. They are with a warm audience there, but you should be approaching that with the same kind of strategy as your social media. Your social media should be working with your overarching themes that you're creating, that content you're already creating. Get your social media working for you the way you want it to do, rather than going, I need to put an inspirational post in that box there, and I need to do that there, and I need to do a how-to here. And
just get it done.
It's about understanding why you're on that platform and understanding how, what you want to achieve on that platform and what conversations you want to have, and building that kind of relationship with your audience, and realizing, and we always approach social media like a networking event. It's a networking opportunity to go and speak to people. Don't just put stuff out there and hope it's going to stick, because you'll always lose, but having those two-way conversations.
Do you know one of my favorite things? Sorry, we talked about, did we talk about Instagram before we started?
We started.
Right, I've lost track.
Okay.
So you find a small business will say, Instagram doesn't work for me, but I do very well on LinkedIn. And you look at it, and that's because they're leading LinkedIn with their personal brand. And on Instagram, they're posting up a picture of their product or what their service. And you go, are you surprised you're doing better on LinkedIn? It's nothing to do with LinkedIn being for businesses. It's because you're leading with a personal brand. And on that one, you're leading with, well, nothing, to be frankly honest, So, we get those conversations a lot.
I think that's the problem, is that, again, there's no strategy that links back to the brand and the direction. So again, where that consistency is, that every platform, you can have a different style, and you're very visible. And I love seeing your faces on, you do all of the videos. You've really shown people. I mean, again, I still hide behind it because I'm like, oh my word, like to put a picture up, and I'm not one for the dancing and the reels. That's fine if you want to do it, but
we
not
don't
really
do
for
that.
me.
We
you don't do that. But you've shown some really useful ways of putting yourselves up as graphics, like little things like that and tricks, which I'm also finding there are some more creative ways to get active on Instagram. I think a lot of people have been put off by reels and like, oh my God, that's another thing. But what going back to your point is that if you have the strategy so it's consistent and that messaging is across, but it's just shown on different angles. But like you're saying, Alan, it's like you're doing it the wrong way around.
You don't have to compromise your personal or your business brand at all in order to use these tools. And we actually within the Digital Circus this week talked a lot about short form video and exactly that. Reels, I personally detest the
this is my age, this is my sign.
I don't,
this is...
and it's still I don't.
It's not our thing.
I don't like lip sync. I don't want to lip sync, and I'm a
hey, YT18's killing the lip syncing on TikTok
and
at the moment.
I don't really dance very well, so no one else.
You are the media. just to expand that, yeah, they're brilliant.
Yeah, but I've lost my train. But you can absolutely approach those short form videos without compromising your brand. And we mentioned a guy called Tim Hayden in our social media this week. He is killing it. He has a company called Hagley West Watches, and he is smashing it on TikTok with short form video. But every single one of his videos isn't really convoluted. It's not fancy transitions and it's not dancing. He picks up his camera, doesn't matter what his hair looks like that particular day, and he goes, I've sold X amount of watches today. Here's my packing. And he's showcasing what he's doing, and he's showcasing his business journey. He's got like 450,000 followers on TikTok, and he's smashing it from not compromising on his brand. It is achievable. You
know, the key, which you've actually already said, Christelle, is like, we're still on, we're only on number 4. We haven't got to number 5 yet. So for your social presence, the key is exactly what you said earlier, is macro content, because this one video a week can give you your newsletter, your blog, your micro content. So that's an intro. You document, don't create. So you document the build up. You then share this during, before, during, after. This could technically be your content for the entire week, with a couple of other little bits, or 80%, 20%, whichever way around you're doing it, with some call to action sales post in there as well. And that's the thing, the second you go, I've got to do a newsletter, I've got to do this, I've got to do this, I've got to get on Pinterest, I've got to go, no, lead with a nice chunky bit of macro content, and it will give you that workflow across all of the rest. So
and also the interesting thing is that, again, going back to the style, I think everyone's put off because they think video, like vlogs, you have to be an excellent writer. Video, it has to look professional. We purposefully did this as a live, and I know there have been people that have gone, but why have you got Zoom at the bottom? Like, why can't you do a fancy graphic? It's like, because it's alive, it's rough, it's ready, it's like us, we muck up, so will you. We're not perfect, we're like you, we don't want it polished.
Yeah, we got out of our comfort zone to do it, didn't we? Yeah, we're just like, let's just do it, and it makes us
10 out of 10.
It makes us turn up every week. So even if there's no one watching it, we're accountable to turn up every week at this time and do it. And I think it's the most live. But
like what you were saying with some of the members, it's like to make sure you're doing something once a week that you can feed in. Like, this is the first time I've done the newsletter. This is the first time I've been so active on LinkedIn, even though it's just one post. I use it as research for clients because I want to know what you guys are thinking, where the value is, so that this is the best one possible. I know that, people are knowing that they're having problems with digital visibility. They know that they need to perhaps hear from Alan and Emily for sure. So I'm sitting there thinking, well, you've got to do your introduction. It doesn't, like follow them now, so you were saying then, so I love social presence, because the other thing that you're so key on, which I 100% believe, is that it's called social. It's the word social is in it for a reason. And I love the way that you're talking about networking, because that's how I now see these platforms. It is networking as if you were doing a room, but you've got to engage both ways. And you're really hot on that as well. So I love that.
And one of the biggest things with our content we create from the start, we've always done it rough and ready, like you were saying, because if we start creating content that's really shiny and beautiful, it kind of takes us away from the people that we're working with right now. We're trying to empower them, say, just get started. So I did a live the other day with my hair wet. It wasn't my best one, but it really didn't matter, because the point was, it doesn't matter if I'm looking all well presented and glamorous with makeup and a full outfit change. Ultimately, what people are interested in, and that live did actually pretty well that particular day, they want to hear what you've got to say. They don't give a flying monkey sometimes about the fact that you've got a nice fancy background.
Or it says Zoom at the bottom. It doesn't matter.
Because if you have enough to say that
it doesn't matter.
That has purpose and you're delivering it well, it really doesn't matter. That pot plant there, well, it's not my style. It's a cactus. I much prefer an aloe vera. Who cares?
No one cares. No one cares.
But I will bring it back to our fifth theme because we
Yes.
Oh, I'd forgotten. I'd actually completely forgotten about the fifth theme.
It's PR and legacy. It has to come down to your PR and legacy because ultimately you're putting yourself out there and you need to be able to, again, get yourself talking about what you're doing, celebrating your wins, talking and having communication, conversations, collaborations and everything out there. But again, it's not necessarily waiting for those things to come to you. It's creating those opportunities so you can present to the world as well. You can't wait for someone to give you permission to talk about your business. You need to be the one to go, right, we are celebrating our wins.
Yeah, I have to say the PR is, funny enough, I'm reading, you know, our man Trevor Young, we love to
Yes, he's great. And I've got in touch, as in I know him because of you guys, because you've been sharing content and I really like his stuff. I'm reading his book at the moment and it's very interesting, and it's a slight spin on PR in its traditional thought process. So we don't approach PR in a position of sending out a press release to the local newspaper. Nothing wrong with that. That's absolutely fine. We work at it from a content perspective and opportunities finding you. And the more you grow your optimized content, one of our favorite questions is, well, let's do it now. Do you know the name of the last person who Googled what you do? No, of course not. But if you've created in the past year 3,000 pieces of optimized content that will appear in a Google search result when people are Googling you, because you don't know who could be Googling you, when they're Googling you, opportunities can happen and new clients can happen. So on one hand, you've got the opportunity that comes from leading with optimized content. The other hand is, yes, let's say you do get in the local newspaper, nice little piece of PR, but what content are you then going to create from that opportunity? And that's always, for us, it has to come back to optimized content. And one of the best examples, and this is quite big, but we like to talk about it.
I think we've done it to death now.
I don't think we have done it to death, Emily, because it's such a good example. So Baylily Bell Tents, this business, we grew with, content. Someone Googled us, Googled glamping. That happened to be ITV's This Morning. They sent us an email. We went on ITV's This Morning with some bell tents. We wrote a blog about this called ITV's This Morning Glamping. That was our keyword. A couple of years later in lockdown, Alice Beer ran a glamping segment. The world, or This Morning audience, Googled ITV's This Morning Glamping. Who was number one on Google? Whose website traffic went up 800% in 24 hours? Ours, because we wrote a blog, and it was there ready for its opportunity. And that's what happened. And then therefore website hits went up, inquiries went up, blah, 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 because we wrote a blog.
And it's the one thing that I keep on saying to clients. So again, similar to what you were saying, what a lot of people associate PR with is media relations. And it is so much more about leadership, building your brand through reputation and relationships. So if that's online or offline, which is where that social presence come in, that's why I feel like you could have a social media expert, or you could have a PR that's doing social, but they'll approach it differently.
Yeah.
And so that to me is like, no, it's about the relationships, it's about the networking, it's about the word of mouth. And the same as you would go in networking, you would go and find out what networking group that is before you would do your research. Same with the hashtags. So it's like, boom, that's what you're doing, is trying to make sure that you're going to the right cocktail parties, as it were. Like which networking groups you want to be with, that's where you're doing it. But I think from building up the brand and the PR element, I keep on saying to clients, you have to optimize the coverage that you get. And again, it's writing the vlog, tracking it before and after. So this is why I've always loved your approach. And Karen, like we've just done this web series about just making sure you've got the right website, but it's not build it and they will come. This is where that digital visibility factor is so important. And again, by doing it right, often I've turned around to clients and said, instead of trying to do this massive outreach and spend money on an expert to get to send out that press release or find the news, do decent social media and actually connect with the journalists that way, because the amount of times I've had clients that have had like been approached by the Times or the FT, or you know, like even bloggers that are like, right, we want to do some work with you, and again, it's actually getting that word out, and that reputation massively underestimated in today's digital world. And so I love that process of the 5 steps that you're talking about. So this is massively helpful. And I think as well, when like, what is the most, you were saying, like, what's the most common question that people come to you, like the key barrier for you that you're able to sort of like help them with, I think is the best?
Genuinely, I think, because obviously we work a lot in the SEO space, and it's the approach that SEO is black magic and they can't do it, and then they need to outsource. And the majority of the people who come to us cold, I suppose, start with, I need to outsource my SEO to you. That's always the first thing, because they, isn't it? It
is a lot.
I don't want to touch it.
Yeah. And then we have a discovery call, and we break that down, and it 150% always comes down to the, I'm scared of the tech. I don't know how to do it. I don't know how to do it. And it's
well, I was just thinking, oh, you're right, you are right. And we got some feedback from one of our clients the other day, just like a DM, and it went, oh blimey, I did what you said. Look, my blog's now on page 1. Go figure, you know. So
and it's one of the, and it really is the, I don't understand why I'm not showing up on page 1 of Google. And it's these standard questions like, I don't know what to show up on page. Well, what page are you trying to search for? What term are you showing up for? What? Because that's subjective. Whatever you want to be on page 1 for is different to that person's page 1. So we need to understand how you're using it. And it always comes down, in terms of any kind of optimization, to doing some thorough keyword research and understanding who you are, what you do, who you serve, and Google's not trying to trip you up. Google actually wants to help you show up. It's not a horrible machine, but it's a really thick robot who needs to be fed that information. And if you're not telling it, how on earth is it meant to mind read and go, oh, okay, that's Katie Cons, she wants to be on. They don't know that.
That's what you meant. Yeah, Google
you need to think logically about where they're going to place you in that massive bookshelf that is.
Well, that's it. Your sole mission when you put content online that's optimized is helping Google know where to put you.
That's what it wants to do.
That's all it needs to know.
So question for you, so you guys you don't do done for you, then you are doing do with you, or show you how to?
We do both. So we do dabble in done for you, and we will happily work with a client, but we will always start with the education piece first and get to know that business, because ultimately nobody knows your business like you do. And if you're outsourcing, you have to be really sure that that's what you need. And if it's down to the fear of not knowing how to do it because the tech scares you, it could be that an hour or half a day with us is all you need to get you going in motion, because it's not black magic.
Because you might be doing a lot of it already, and you just need to refine it. And
I think that's often is a lot of things. I mean, with me, it's not, you know, when it comes to kind of I know the basics of SEO, but coming kind of to the sort of offering it as a service or advising people on it more, I kind of shy away from it, because you think, oh, you know, there's more to it than meets the eye or something like that. So often it's a case of people kind of have an inkling, but I think it's that sort of barrier thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
Getting
stuck. If you still go through that process and you understand it, but you're really time poor and you absolutely have to outsource, absolutely, we'll have a conversation and we'll work on that with you. But if you're already doing half of that work and it's in your way, and it's a few things that you need to tweak in your day or your week or your month to get that job done to the best of your ability, or the fact that you're going to outsource it to whatever company agency over here, but you're still going to have to feed them that information, you're still going to have to feed them the photographs and your message, proofread
the blog,
proofread it, and then go, that's not my tone of voice, and you have to rewrite that, and you're still having to like micromanage that situation. You could just, and I'm not saying you shouldn't outsource by any means, if that's your bag, it's absolutely fine, but for some of you, it could just be going, right, okay, I just need to get my head around a different way of looking at it and reframing it, and giving myself an extra 5 minutes in my day to make my content work for me. I enjoy the writing. I enjoy my blog writing, but my blog aren't getting seen. Oh, that's because I didn't know X, Y, Z, insert whatever issue that was for your particular business. So
yeah, and I think it's having kind of a framework to work from as well, so it makes it quicker, because often with me, it's just like, oh, I don't have time for that. I've got to get on with something else. You know, and then I'll point someone to an expert who does that. So yeah, I think so is it your digital circus then? Is that like a membership thing?
So a digital circus, thanks for
well
segueing
done.
that in.
We need a crowbar or something. Thank you, Karen.
The digital circus is our online membership, and it is pretty much designed for any business size or project. You don't have to be a business, because again, the same thing applies if you have a passion project you're working on, you still want to be being seen online. It is a digital membership whereby we deliver 2 trainings a month, one always based on an SEO element and one based on social presence or productivity kind of tools. We offer accountability sessions once a month. So we set up the month every single month. What have you been doing? How are you getting on? Let's have a chat. And then we offer 2, we call them acrobat sessions, whereby you can drop in as like more of a clinic style. If you've got a certain specific issue you're struggling with, we can work through that in the clinic. So that's been running for the best part of a year.
Happy birthday, by the way.
For yesterday. Thank you very much.
Yesterday, yeah.
Yeah, it's really quite exciting, because it's a self-learning community, basically, that's 100% focused on digital visibility. And there's a key part in that, for instance, like there is no Facebook group, because if we did a Facebook group, the members may hide, for want of a better word, in the Facebook group,
and it's noise,
it's unnecessary noise. And we would always encourage you to share your adventure with your audience and go and chat in the DM, because that's about as much as we pander to the algorithm on any platform, is that they will reward you for the more you do on their platform. So go and chat on the DM rather than hiding in a Facebook group, for argument's sake.
Amazing. We have put all of the links to find Yellow Tuxedo, their socials, Digital Circus. We put all the links in the show notes. And so, yes, you have no excuse, folks. If you're scared, I'm a member of the Digital Circus. It's really helped me. I have found it so overwhelming. I do this, like I help clients, and yet when it comes to my own stuff, I understand, like I get it. I understand when you're trying to get money in, do the accounts, all of that, I understand it. So I just got overwhelmed and I just got stuck, and I just knew that I had to get all these things done. And luckily Karen and I thought, right, what is the one piece of content? But week by week or month by month, it's like, right, I need to get my newsletter done. Okay, I need to get like YouTube sorted. I need to get like even just changing, we changed that, like all the things that you're telling us about making the YouTube like place card more visible and just getting a clear logo, stuff like that, that identification. It's been super helpful just to work through that process and just take your time to do it, but you will get there. And it is one of those things that even though it's not perfect by any means, I keep on saying that, I'm being really honest with you, it is not perfect to the standard that I would want or I would expect, because no one's paying us to do it, let's be honest, Karen. No one's paying us to do it, so other things get in the way. But it's amazing, even the little bits that I'm doing, how people are commenting, getting reminders to get in touch, so thinking that we're everywhere. And it's like, I'm looking at it from a client perspective going, we're nowhere near that. So it's amazing the bits that you do. And I'm going to steal your quote. What was it that you said in that comment? You went, posting is great, but optimizing is the winner.
Yeah, exactly that. And there's a really key part, Christelle, because this isn't about adding extra work to do until you're ready for it. This is about refining what you're already doing and understanding why you are doing it. And let's be honest, the Digital Circus is only £20 a month.
Oh, nice crowbar.
You are signing up today.
Wait till tomorrow, Karen.
It's that accountability thing as well, isn't it? Because me and Christelle try and do it every week, but we do quite well. So we have a few little things that we just have to tick off each week. So even if it's one thing a week, updating your YouTube profile, tick, and then another week, change the banner on your Facebook page, tick. Just as long as you're making those steps.
And it's remembering it is a marathon, not a sprint, and you can't do it all at once, even though we may want to be there really, really quickly. With the Digital Circus, we talk about so much in there. There's so much content in there, and it can be not overwhelming, but ultimately go, pick what you need to do now. If you're focusing on your YouTube, go and find the YouTube trainings and spend some time on that. Don't worry about the Pinterest and the website this and that. Focus on what you need. And again, there's little tick sheets, and little things. And
it's like, don't worry about if you're like 5 years into your business and you go, I've done all these blogs for unoptimized. Don't worry about it for the moment. Start afresh, start new. And when you're at peace with yourself and your workflow, go back and we'll look at what's winning, what's working, and adjust them. This is not about, oh bugger, I've got to redesign my whole digital visibility and online presence.
Images with no old text.
It's not about that. It's about, as I say, it's about refining what you're doing, keeping it simple, fitting it into what you do, what you can do, your workflow. It's so important. It has to work for you.
Amazing. Thank you guys so much. That has been absolutely splendid.
We went over, didn't we? We did.
Actually, not too bad. 45
15 minutes over.
Yeah, well, yeah, but you know, our audience knows.
You are officially our longest one.
Happens every time, Karen. You can't help it.
And as I say, you two though, pat on the back, 10 out of 10 gold stars. I was looking, we've got some medals somewhere I was trying to find to give to you. Where?
In that box.
Oh, right, here we go. We'd like to award you this medal because fundamentally you two are doing the single most important thing if you can do it, and that is showing up every week consistently. That's like the gold star of what you can do for content. Tweak and adjust, tidy up and everything else afterwards, but you're showing up, and that is the most important thing. So we can't send you this one in the post.
That's mine anyway.
It's quite important to us. But,
yeah.
Well done.
You know, saving lives, Emily needs that.
Yeah. This is
my Emily, we're trying to wrap up.
I'm a fellow of the Winston Churchill Memorial Trust, don't you know?
Camilla Parker Bowles gave you that, didn't she?
Yes,
So.
There you go. Do not, don't pass for that. No, absolutely. Thank you so much, guys. If you have any questions, you're watching it on the replay, please put the comments up below. We'll tag these two in to answer and flag up. But again, like I say, just follow them. Honestly, I've learned so much this past year in a way that is suitable for me and my learning style. So yeah, absolutely. Thank you guys so much. And we will see you next week. Take care. Bye.
Thank you, guys. Bye.